Kevin Bacon, one half of the Bacon Brothers band. They have 12 albums they've released. They re-released their song Philly Thing. Mr. Philadelphia Eagle there. Where'd you watch the game, Kevin?
In New York City.
How were you to watch the game with?
Well, first off, I was all alone in my apartment. My wife went out to dinner with a friend, and there was that first call, the first what I consider a bad call, on the first offensive play, and I think some of the neighbors were thinking about calling the cops.
Do you think that your wife went out on purpose to leave you alone to watch the game?
I think maybe, yeah, I think maybe she did. But as I moved to, and she was there for the second half. She's kind of a jack in the box when it comes to watching anything. She's up and down and up and down and up and down. And the one thing that she sort of relies on when I'm watching any kind of sports is that she gets a foot massage. So that's kind of like our, that's how we work it out. That's how we've stayed married for so long. I will say that, I moved to New York when I was 17, so I've been a New Yorker for a long time, and I think we've probably talked about this before. I have this kind of strange relationship to New York and Philadelphia sports, where you're really supposed to be on one side or the other. But I'm a big Knicks fan as well as an Eagles fan. But the I found that the New Yorkers that I've run into recently, and this I'm talking about, like, many people have said this to me, knowing that I was a fan of the Eagles, that they're very happy for Saquon, which I think is like kind of an interesting, thing, that they feel like, well, it's great, he's doing a great job. I don't know if you would find that the reverse.
I can't imagine. But are you the prototypical Eagles fan? Like, if you weren't famous being an actor, would you be out there celebrating, taking down light poles and everything?
No, I would not. No, I would not. I'm way too into self-preservation.
But this Friday, I wouldn't go close to Philadelphia with that parade going on.
I told my sisters that they needed to stay. I've got two sisters there, and I said, go inside and stay inside. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. I feel I'm always very happy when not just for the Eagles or for any sports teams, just if anything great happens to that city that I care about, and that's a good thing for a city. So I'm really happy for him.
I feel like Bradley Cooper feels like he's really close to getting in uniform and playing for the Eagles.
Yep. I think he's the definition. He's a definition of a fan. Good on him. I don't know that there's who else do you have? Kevin Hart, I guess, and I'm trying to think of well-known Philly people.
Maybe you could do a buddies like Eagle fan movie. You and Bradley and Kevin Hart.
Well, yeah, maybe. I mean, he did do Silver Linings Playbook, which was very much in that pocket. But it was a fun day, and I'm happy for them.
Did you cry?
No, I didn't. Well, did I get? I might have gotten a little misty. Yeah, I might have gotten a little misty. Listen, it's one of those games where you always have to remember that a friend of mine sent me a picture of his friend, and they're both like big Giants fans, and they were watching the game, and his friend Mark had fallen asleep on the couch. His head was back like this, and he was completely out. And for people that aren't Eagles fans, it was not the most exciting, thing to watch, or it was, just kind of whatever. But it's all your point of view. I thought it was a blast.
Okay, but if I go back to when Foles and the Eagles beat Brady, that's different.
That was different. I mean, that and plus, I mean, that was such a crazy, unusual situation. I mean, that whole, that was completely just never seen that before. I thought that was incredible. And then how, ironic to have Nick Foles there, Uh, I mean, I I I would say that, what's really I feel like there's something about Hertz that people didn't quite acknowledge. There was a lot of talk about, or a lot of feeling, I think, that the team was only really it was having the kind of year that it was having because of Barkley, and for sure that is true. But it was really interesting to me to see, uh, the them shut the defense shut Barkley down to a certain extent, and then all of a sudden you go, wait a second, this is not a team that's just has this great running back. This guy he's amazing, and I gotta say, I'm not a predictor. People always say that to you, but after that game against the Commanders, I I, I felt pretty good about it. I thought they really looked good, and I thought he looked really good.
Yeah, I think with Jalen Hurts, if you go back to when he was at Alabama and then got kicked to the curb in the national title game, transfers to Oklahoma, then he gets drafted in the second round, and he's a backup. I mean, it feels like he's going to be a career backup. You had Carson Wentz. He was having
Right.
an MVP-like season. And then all of a sudden, it's like, maybe Brock Purdy with the 49ers, Mr. Irrelevant. Like, he can't be that great. He was Mr. Irrelevant. And I think that people kind of harbored this opinion with Jalen Hurts. Well, he can't be that good. I mean, Alabama didn't want him. He went to Oklahoma. He's a second round pick, but he
Mm.
keeps proving people wrong. And if I look at his performances in these two Super Bowls, you'd be hard pressed to find a performance like that from other quarterbacks who have been in at least two Super Bowls. And you lost the one where he fumbled the ball, but he outperformed Mahomes in that game too.
My wife came in at one point when he was running and sliding, and she said, "Why is he sliding?" I said, because he's such a smart quarterback, because he so knows, how to, you know, protect his body. It's just, sees the big picture. Anyway,
But he's like a supporting actor who becomes the leading actor. Like
yeah,
begrudgingly, you're like, wow, he's a leading actor because he's been that supporting actor.
right. And it's also interesting because when that happens in our business, you'll see that, and the first thing everybody says is, I always liked him.
But like J.K. Simmons in Whiplash, people didn't.
JK.
They were like, "Oh wow, that guy's the leading." Yes, and then he ends up winning the Academy Award. Let me give you the full introduction. I jumped right to it. Kevin Bacon.
That's okay.
He's going to be in The Bondsman for Amazon Prime Video, a horror series. And then you're going to be in Sirens with Julianne Moore. Then you're going to be with your wife in The Best You Can. You guys haven't been together in 20 years in a movie on screen, I'm guessing?
Yeah, we haven't. And that's going to be at the Tribeca Film Festival. We're really we're excited. I'm excited about all of those projects, honestly. And honestly, Dan, I just I never take it for granted that anybody is still giving me gigs. I mean, I really do appreciate it. And I've had I got all of those three parts are really, really different. And that's the thing that is my life's blood, being able to walk in different men's shoes. And I'm just so grateful that I still get a chance to do it.
Yeah, but you probably get these roles because you don't take it for granted. Like it just feels like, hey, what do you need me to do? I can do that.
That's really been my
Like there's an
attitude.
everyman feel to you. I
Yeah.
don't know if you feel that way, but it's like, what do you
What
want
do you
me to
need?
do? Huh?
I'll say what it is that someone will say, "What do you need me to do?" And I'll say, "I can do that, even if I know that I probably can't."
How much fun is it to play a bad guy?
Oh, it's great. I love playing bad guys. I mean, I have to say though that a lot of there's sort of this idea that bad guys are more fun. Um, I think it's mostly that writers sometimes have more fun writing them because if you are the hero, you kind of know that you're going to save the day. And so I think sometimes writers will even sort of focus a little bit more on the antagonist and just figure that the actor who's playing the hero is just going to deliver his heroic stuff. So when it comes to playing good guys, like the guy in The Bondsman, is certainly the hero of the show. I mean, he's battling demons from hell. He's become a bounty hunter for the devil. But he's a but what's fun about that part is that he's kind of a mess. He's not the bad guy, but he's got a lot of bad stuff in his past and he's made a lot of mistakes and he is a complicated character. So for me, it's less about bad and good and more about does the character have layers and is the character complicated?
City on a Hill was great, but but we're done with that, right?
Yeah, we did 3 seasons. That was three and out. I mean, I'm happy to get the three. I would have loved to have kept doing it. I really liked playing that guy, but he was a very complicated guy to say the least. And you know, Aldous Hodge, who was, kind of my colleague, so to speak, in that unlikely colleague in that show was
He
fantastic.
was. He was great. He was. Yeah.
I mean, you never know. I mean, these things sometimes they circle back around. Who knows?
But none of these, like, you're not a sequel guy. So I'm looking at a lot of these movies. Is there a movie that, out of the ones you've done, where you go, you know what, you could have done a sequel?
Well, uh, I don't know about that. I mean, what I will say is that the only movie that I've really, first off, I did this movie called Tremors, and they made about 9 sequels, but I wasn't in them. Um, and that's always been the movie that I've thought to myself it would be fun to revisit because the character was, so I just found the character kind of funny and it was interesting. He was such an ordinary guy and had this extraordinary situation where these worms were underground. And then if you saw him many years later, and we actually developed it for a television series and shot a pilot of it. And I really thought it was great and had a good time doing it. And then it didn't get picked up.
But
So
I'm looking at this list. There has to be a movie where you go, "Ah, I don't know about this, where you're talking to your wife. So Apollo 13, Footloose, JFK, Few Good Men, Diner, Mystic River, Animal House, Wild Things. Like, which one were you like, I got some trepidation about this?
definitely Tremors. I had a little bit of trepidation about Wild Things. Sometimes you think to yourself, we're making something that's kind of tongue in cheek and sort of over like kind of big. It's like a big swing, in terms of like all the stuff that was going on there. And you kind of think to yourself, are people going to get that? I don't know. It's a little over the top, but listen, I mean, I go into every one of them once I say yes, and we have a deal in place, and we are going to start. I have to believe that they have a chance. Like I don't go in saying, yeah, this is probably not going to work. I just I it doesn't make for a good working situation for me. I want to go to work and feel like I'm doing my best.
Did you keep anything from Apollo 13? They let you keep your suit?
I have a little piece. I don't have my suit, no. I have a little, it's actually in the other room. It's funny you mentioned that. I have a little piece of, I think I have a little piece of the shell of the actual uh, lunar module, maybe. It's some little, or maybe it's a piece of a suit. I'm not sure. That was an incredible experience. Listen, I mean, that was amazing. We actually, in those days, if you wanted to, simulate zero gravity, there was really no way to do it. I mean, you could do it with like harnesses and stuff that they took out, but it was very rudimentary compared to what you can do now with a computer generated images. So we actually went up in a zero G airplane and did,
Oh boy.
loops. And, yeah, it
Did you
was
throw
shot.
up?
I did not, but I felt sick for sure. I mean, we did it 600 times, and so
Oh damn.
the NASA gave you very, very strong anti-nausea drugs. And I remember that Tom Hanks and Bill Paxton decided one day to kind of cowboy it out and not take the, and they did not look good. Get through the day, but they were extremely sick.